if you want to have an easier way that makes you stand out, we're going to go back to this guy. Now, this guy said this. He said, every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it. That guy is Michelangelo. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Michelangelo method of mixing to uncover what's already there. Gospel music, the sound, the feeling, and all the clues are already there and injected in it. So I totally believe that if you don't mess it up by trying to make it into something and just listen, get in tune and everything, you'll find out what's there. Just like Michelangelo, he has the statue there and he chips away what's not the statue to uncover the statue. So that's what we're going to do in the music. We're going to chip away these things. We're going to take our raw things and see what's already there. And the things that aren't the music, we won't enhance that. And the things that are, we'll make them shine more and everything. But it's already in there. We just got to listen, dig in. Now, there's basically 3 secrets to it all. The first secret is it's all about the feeling. That's what it is. This is gospel music. This is music of your soul, and it's got to have feeling. So when you get caught up in being too technical, it can be a very, very huge danger zone. It's always about the feeling. You got to always remind yourself about that. Secret number 2, it's all about the message. The lyrics are so important in gospel music. So when you have vocals and things in there, we're going to be dealing with a track where I'm going to show you when we go into Pro Tools that's instrumental right now. But I hope to later at some point to even get some vocals in there because they're so important. In fact, vocals are king in gospel music because it's about the message. It's all about the message, okay? And secret number 3, it's all about the connection. Now, there's a word missing there. That missing word is spiritual connection. This music has to connect with the listener. There has to be a spiritual connection with who's hearing it and how they feel, so that it becomes a divine connection. It's not about you. It's not about me. That divine connection has to be there when somebody listens and hears it. For all of these things being together and having feeling and the message being clear, there will be a connection that makes people just sway and get into it and just they go somewhere else. So we got to make sure we put that into the music. Well, I won't even say put it in. It is already there. We just got to make it shine what's already there. Okay? Now, let me give you an overview of my process. This video is going to be a little bit longer, and then we're going to go through the series and everything. So I'll show you as we go. The first thing, and we're not going to cover it, but I'll just mention it. We dig into that deeper at another time. But the first thing, which is obvious, is listening and assessing. And there's a particular special way to go about listening and assessing what's happening and identifying the right things. I'll show you that later at some other point. But the next thing after that is finding the landmark sections of the song. These songs have landmarks and transitions and everything. You've got to know and identify what is what, why it's important, and more importantly, what's happening in there, So that gets us to the secret sauce of what goes on. And in a moment, we're going to go into Pro Tools and take a listen so we can actually hear that, and I'll point some things out to you. Let's dig into the secret sauce, because when we talk about secret number 1, it's all about the feeling. We must combine 2 processes that were in that little graphic that you saw to achieve that. Okay, so these are the 2 processes. We got to identify the key players and their roles in the music message, and that role can change and play, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And the other part is we got to start getting basic control and enhancing of processing and effects. So once we, have got those 2 things working together, you'll start laying a foundation, So identifying the key players and their roles in the music message, that's, the big, huge part. You got to understand their roles by understanding what the main foundational instruments are that hold up each section of the song. So, for example, you want your drums popping usually in most cases. This song that I'll be using as an example, I worked with my boy JP from Here and Play, and I was giving that as stems, and the drums are on the stereo thing. So when you don't have individual control, the bottom line is the goal is still the same. I want the drums popping. So I started out with on a stereo track, and basically this is my first processing setup for a stereo set of drums, a stereo drum stem. So I couldn't control the kick, I couldn't control the snare or the different balances I wanted, frequency content or whatever. So I had to find a way to process, to extract some of the things that I wanted to bring the feel out, okay? But guess what? It changed because I ended up with something very different than what I started with. So what's going to be real helpful for you is to not see, because that's part of the other thing where we've been duped and lied to, is a lot of people think that you can just put one thing on and you're one and done. And that's not how it works. You know, it's an ongoing, growing, changing process that is liquid while you're doing this, okay? And I ended up with a whole different set of things, you know, or maybe a couple of things that stayed, but a lot of times changing it for different reasons. You know, the textures that I'm trying to hear, the way things are, the algorithms are working, because these are plugins. I may need something that for some reason it just didn't feel quite right, even though it was doing the thing that I wanted it to do, like a compressor. Different manufacturers and the way they make their algorithms, they have a different feel, and recognizing that's important. Anyway, now, let's go over to Pro Tools real quick, and then I kind of want to show you some examples of what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go over here and join me over there. Secret number one, we're going to dig into about making sure that we have the feeling, and then the message, and then the connection. Well, all of these things are the overall most important thing is to capture what the spirit of the song is and what it's trying to do and convey and how it can touch people. So let's check out in Pro Tools, and I want to show you a couple of the instruments and the breakdown of why I did a few things, and some of the limitations that I had a few limitations, and but limitations, I believe, are just the challenge to find what is already there, like Michelangelo said. So it wasn't really a limitation that I couldn't work with. I made it happen, and I think it definitely benefited. So let's go here, and I'm going to play it a little bit of it, and we're going to check it out and see what's happening. Okay. Basically, what's happening here is, and I'll show you, let's expand that. We've got, you know, I've got a stereo drum track that came here, and, you know, I just have it submixed. So these represent my drums, stereo, and I'm processing it, and a couple of things that I broke out. Here's another part that came in, clap loop and rhythm. That's basically it for the drums. You know, I didn't have separate command of the kick and snare and all that, but I'm going to play the song and let you kind of hear what's going on with it. Play the original version here. I'm going to solo this, and we should have it.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this is the basic track that was given to me with a rough mix. And, you know, I just want you to kind of listen and take some mental notes. Sounds good already. As you can see, it sounds good, and the musicianship is incredible. Okay. The song has a lot of different dynamic things happening, a lot of different colors, you know, the guitars, horns, stuff like that, little hits, percussion stuff, the drums, and two different types of sounds of guitar. So when I got this, now let me tell you how this happened. Me and JP were talking. JP and Jermaine asked if I could help them with something that they have coming that is going to be also amazing for you guys. And what I thought is, as I was pulling this stuff up, I was like, you know, it'd be interesting for people to see and watch over my shoulder as I'm doing some of this stuff, because I'm going through the process, and more importantly, changing stuff in the process. It's very helpful to see what I'm doing and hear and listen to why I'm doing these things and making the changes. So one of the first things I showed you earlier about what I was doing with the drums and the plugins I initially started with, but I ended up changing them. Now the drums, for example, when we talk about the feeling of it and everything, and identifying the key players, you know, that's what I said as far as being one of the very first things that you want to do is identify the key players and then determine what their role is. The basic version, but what I'm going to do is also play the other version and show you what I did to enhance it. So you can see I kind of boosted it up in a good way. And the important thing to know is that, you know, like I said, that's what I wanted to show you, is that it's not like it's louder, it just sounds louder. It sounds more energetic, it sounds wider and bigger and everything. But as far as the peaks and everything, as far as how actually loud it can get, it's just the same loudness as the other one, you know. So what I want to do is show you before, because I don't want to make this too long. We're going to do this and pick this up on the next video. But a couple of things I want to point out to you. Like, that makes sense, right? Okay, we've got the guitar, which is another one, right? The main so the distorted guitar and everything that starts off the songs. That's another foundational one. We've got a string pad here. We got strings, a pad. We've got a Rhodes, and it's got a bass in it, obviously, and it's got some horns, some hits, and stuff like that, as synthesizer. So I think hold this song together that you can get rid of some of the other stuff and it wouldn't matter. Is let me try this. I want you to notice that I brought out some of the things in the stereo drums, even though I was stuck with stereo drums, I was able to bring some things out. Okay, so at the end here, some whole other things. So there's different sections here we're going to identify and talk about it. Another whole groove section. So identifying what this brings is so important. Transition and thread these two sections together. Do the roles change of any instrument? Think about this. They did. I want you to think about what they did. Killing it. channels are changing and swapping around. Another transition, so roles changed again. We'll talk about it. Okay, I gotta stop. These guys are killing it, boy, the musicianship. I've made this long enough. I wanted you to get a chance to listen a little bit to get the concept of the growth that is happening throughout this song. I had to build in some of these things. Now, on the next video, what we're gonna do is go and start getting into some different things. So on the next video, we're gonna talk about controlling and processing the stuff, you know. What I did to get in there, identifying the key players. We'll go back and expand on what the key players were and then how I controlled them and processed them to sit in and work with each other as a team. So on the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how I achieved that with the instruments so that you can hear what's going on, not just from a technical standpoint, but from an internal standpoint where it's touching and feeling your soul. The Michelangelo method, we're just going to chip away and find what's already there and make it happen. Anyway, this is Khaliq Glover, also known as Khaliq-O-Vision. I will catch you on video number 2. Bye.